Hello, boys and girls. We are going to be learning cursive writing, and we're going to start with how to format the lowercase letters first, and then we will add the uppercase letters. Each week, you will have a set of books or a set of pages in your cursive writing book that you will need to complete. So for this first quarter, for this 9 weeks, you will need your lowercase cursive writing handbook that was given to you at the beginning of the year. Take out your lowercase book and you can follow along with where I am working. Turn to page 20 in your lowercase book and you will see the page that looks like this. Each of the lowercase letters are swing letters, or each of these lowercase letters are swing letters, and they begin with the baseline and then they move upward, swinging motion toward the midline. The midline is usually the dotted line of your page. The swing format for the different lowercase letters have different positions that they go. So the first one is a swing, and it starts at the baseline and it swings upward, just like that. And so you might want to practice making this swing motion several different times. The down swing starts at the midline or the dotted line, and you go down and you make a curve up. Mine's not perfect, and yours won't be either. The circle midline, or the circle swing, starts at the midline, and it's like a backward C. The glide, it just looks like this. And you might want to practice it a couple of times to get it right. Just remember that midline, you keep all lowercase letters below the dotted line. Let's say this is the dotted line on this page or on this section. And I've really messed that up. Let's start this. This is the dotted line. This is the top solid line, and this is the bottom solid line. So you want to keep all of your motions or your swings below the dotted line for lowercase letters. Let's look at the droop and swoop. I like that one. The droop and swoop. So I'm going to draw my solid line just so you can see. And I'm going to draw my other solid line. And I didn't trace that just perfect, but that's okay. And then I'm going to draw my dotted lines so that you can see where the baseline and the midline are. I'm going to choose a different color so that you can see my drooping and swooping. So I start at the midline, which is the dotted line. I go down below and I curve back up. So you start at the midline, you go down and you droop and back up. Down, droop, and back up. Practice that a couple of times because you're going to need to know that format. The next one is called the scoop. So you start at the midline and you go down and you scoop up. And that is the scoop. The next one is the dip, and it just starts at the midline and you can't hardly see what it does. It just dips down, and that's called the dip. The next one is called the cross, And the cross, again, I am going to go and the cross line is just on the dotted line. You just cross on the dotted line. Whatever you have, the format you have created, whatever letter you have created, you just do a dotted line, or you cross on the dotted line. Let's look at some of these letters. The first letter we're going to look at is the I and the T. The I, it swings up to the middle line, down to the base line, pick up the pencil and dot. So I am going to practice that. So you swing up to the middle line, to the midline, down to the baseline, and pick up the pencil and dot. So swoop up, and down, and dot. Up, and down, and dot. Up, and down, and dot. The letter T is swing tall to the halfway between the midline and the top, and you go back down to the baseline. So the T would look like this. You swoop up, you don't touch the top line, you come back down, and you cross. So you swoop up and down and cross. Up and down and cross. And that is how you make the letter I and T. For the letter I, you go up and down, pick up your pencil and dot. Remember, it is very important to keep your pen on the paper that you are writing and not to lift it up to try to make your cursive letter look like a cursive letter. For the T, my pen is staying on the paper. I don't touch the top line, I trace back down, and I make a curve. And I cross. And that is what my I and T would look like. Later on, we are going to look at why we have these. But for now, just remember that those are very important pieces in creating your cursive writing. I'm going to practice making some eyes. On the next few pages, you will be able to practice those as well. And you can perfect those. See how I've gone below? That is not a very good. And that one does not look good. That one looks a little better. See how they're getting better as I go along? And then I'm going to go and I'm going to pick a different color and I'm going to look at these and I'm going to star which one I think looks best. And I think this one is my best one. You go ahead and practice. Pause the video if you want and choose your best one out of the letters you make. Now I'm going to do the letter T. If you swing up to the midline, down to the baseline, swing up to the midline, down to the baseline, that will create the letter U. Let's try that. Remember, this is going to be my midline. So swing up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that is how you make the letter U. Once again, remember, this and this are very important parts of writing the letter U. Let's look at the letter S. S is, when I was learning cursive writing, was one of my favorite letters to learn. I don't know why, I just loved making the letter S. I thought it looked like a sail, like on the sail of a ship. So the letter S, you swing up to the midline, scoop around, touch, and glide. So you swing up, scoop around, touch, and glide. Swing up, scoop around, touch, and glide. Swing up, swoop, scoop, and glide. And that is how you make the letter S, the lowercase letter S. Once again, it is very important to keep these. These are called connectors, and when we get to putting the letters together to make words, you will need those connectors. Let's practice making the letter U and the letter S. Remember your hand and format. Remember your pen does not come up off the paper. And this, let's see, I think I'm going to choose black here. Just, here is my midline for my practice. I'm going to go ahead and draw my midline for my S as well, so I don't have to stop, I can keep going. Remember that this is my solid line, this is my solid line. Okay. So I start at the baseline, I swing up, come down, touch the baseline, swing up and down to the baseline. And I am going to circle this one. I think this is my best view. Now I'm going to practice the letter S. And I think this one is my best one. Which one is your best one? The next letters we are going to look at is the J and the P. The letter J, you swing up to the midline, drop down halfway below the baseline, swoop, pick up your pencil, and dot. Let's look at what that might mean. This is the baseline. This is the baseline. This is the midline. I'm going to pick a different color so that you can see. You swing up to the midline. You drop down halfway to the baseline, swoop, pick up the pencil, and dot. I'm going to make my ink just a little bit smaller. I think it's a little too thick for you to see what's going on. Let's try it again. Swing up, down halfway, and lift the pencil, and dot. swing up to midline, drop down halfway below the baseline. Oh, look, I did not drop down halfway. I'm going to erase that and try it again. Oops. All right, swing up to the midline, drop down halfway, baseline, swoop back up, pick up, and dot. Looks a little funny, but that is the lowercase j. Let's try the lowercase p. P was another one of my favorite letters that I learned when I was cursive writing. Remember, this is the top line of this line. Let's get my blue. The P, you swing up to the middle line. You drop down halfway again to the baseline. You slide. Oh, sorry. Let's try it again. So, you swing up to the midline, drop down halfway to the baseline, you slide back up to the midline, circle around, touch, and glide. That one's a little more difficult. The tracing back up and making the circle around, touching, and gliding. That is how you make the lowercase p. Now I'm going to practice on my paper. Remember, it's 1 and then the dot is 2. The 1 means that you do not pick up the pencil. It's all in one motion. This is lowercase j. Do you see where I have touched? I should not be touching. And P. You make the J and the P. Now it is your turn to practice making those. Don't forget to go back and circle the one you think you made the best. I think mine was this one and this one.